alles perfekt.
So for my speech, I thought it's interesting to cover a topic that has not really been discussed a lot in this whole COVID discussions, which is especially important for us as a business location, Switzerland. Does all this COVID pandemic and the difficult economic situation have a big impact on our location attractiveness? I'd like to start with the view on Switzerland. You see here a chart, a very good chart from the Swiss investment promotion agency, Switzerland Global Enterprise. It's one of the first pages in their handbook. And since many years, we use this a lot, and we see that foreign investors, like this overview, which shows what are really the most important location advantages. And I think even though that many Swiss are on the call, it's also interesting for you to see how Switzerland positions itself. If I look at the most important factors, as we all know, Switzerland, is for decades ranking one of the top countries worldwide as innovative country. No wonder we have leading industry clusters here. We have leading future technologies I'll get to later. So we are really known as a global technology and innovation hub. I think the second most important one is all the factors around security and trust. Switzerland is considered for decades as one of the most stable countries, and this as well as political, but also economically. And last but not least, we enjoy this great quality of life, this combination of competitive economic and of beautiful living environment. Now, when we turn to Greater Zurich area, I'm not sure how many of you are aware of this organization. Today, these days, the global competition for business location happens not at the cantonal or the city level, it happens at the metropolitan level. And Greater Zurich area is one of the 5 regions in Switzerland that have gathered 9 cantons around Zurich, including Zug, ranges from Schaffhausen to Ticino, from Solothurn to Grisons, and we together do investment promotion outside Switzerland. This means we use our strength of all the Zurich area, which is globally in various rankings, one of the top locations. As you see here in the middle, this is a very interesting analysis that was done, taking high value patents globally. What areas have the most high value patents? And here you see in all the areas, life science, machinery, engineering, digital, Greater Zurich area ranks behind San Francisco, Bay Area, and Boston area, actually globally number 3. And as you see, the Zurich area, with more than 50% of the Swiss GDP and the population, with a high density of innovation and technology leaders, including universities, ETH, number 1 in Europe as tech university, etc. This is for us a very, very strong advantage. And further on, when you look at how the whole Zurich region, including Switzerland obviously, is positioned in these future technologies, we see that because of our great universities and research institutes, in all these new technologies, we are well positioned, if not even leading. Now, this brings me to Kanton Zug. Obviously, as an economic promotion head of Kanton Zug, I have to cover, and want to cover that, as you know, Zug is since many decades an internationally attractive location, leading in Switzerland as a canton. And this with a broad, diverse industry, ranging from traditional industry to tech, to trading, to life sciences, to ICT, to new tech, and a preferred headquarter location. And we believe our success comes from the fact that we have managed over the last decades to offer the best overall package, which means it starts with our DNA. We want to be the most business-friendly location. We want every company to do business most effectively. And besides, obviously, we want to offer the best conditions from hard factors like taxation, like availability of talents, internationality, and stability. Now, looking at Zug as a tech place or innovation place, we have a lot to offer also. And obviously we share and make benefit of all the great institutions in the Zurich area. But looking at our own environment, we have René Hüsler talking later on from the University of Applied Science, the School of Computer Science and Information Technology. This is a very important driver of technology and innovation. And since a few years, we're really proud to have that campus in Kanton Zug. Also, we have a technology forum clustering about 150 companies in different clusters like ICT, life sciences, and high tech. We have, since a few years, a part of the Swiss Innovation Park, also on the campus in Rotkreuz, next to the University of Applied Science, which fosters, digital collaboration. And last but not least, another example, the company Metal Zug, Zug, known as a kitchen and bath appliance company, is not just rebuilding a most modern manufacturing plant on their side, but they're also building up a technology cluster, attracting third companies, to create a real great high-tech cluster. These are just a few examples what we want to position, our area in the technology-wise. You all know about the Crypto Valley. I don't have to use or spend many words on that. That's another last example in the last 5 years where globally we have managed as Switzerland, driven from Kanton Zug in the Zurich area, to establish a great new ecosystem for a new technology, which is not just bringing new digital assets or currencies, but is bringing a technology that is now applied by many, many industries, from life sciences to trading, etc. So that's exactly what we think we want to be leading in terms of technology. Now, what has COVID done to all these great technological and location environments? I think we have to look at different aspects. No doubt, the economic impact is the very most important to look at. And we all know it's one of the most severe crises in the last centuries for any country, including Switzerland. Now, looking at the impact on location attractiveness, it's difficult, but it's important to look at the comparison. Where do we stand? And I didn't want to show you tons of slides of economic data, etc. that there is. You will read it in the media. I think in summary, we can say also today with latest information that Switzerland has compared in Europe, where we compete, we have performed much better because our way has brought, as a result, the least economic impact short term so far. Even unemployment has risen, but never at that level as in the surrounding countries. We had a great system of financial support. We had billions of credits of liquidity given to the company that they can continue to operate. And what's interesting, I just saw this morning latest news from the Swiss National Bank. When you look at the amount of credits used. All over Switzerland, it's around 80%. So the provided facilities for credits for liquidity is not fully used. And this overall states that we are in a shape that we can operate. And this is critical for foreign investors. If they look at an attractive place, they want to see that the place is stable, it's working, even in a crisis situation. And here, I must say, when I look at our work, we work very strongly together with the Swiss Investment Promotion Agency, with the Greater Zurich area. We have our own projects. When I look at the last 2 years since the outbreak of COVID, almost no new settlement projects have been stopped. The pipeline is working. Companies that have incorporated new companies here, new entities in Switzerland last year, just before COVID, they are continuing to build up their operations. We can even help them to bring in the people so they have the talents and the managers available. So it's working. New projects. Last year, we finished the year almost with the same amount of settlements on new companies inflow as in 2019. So from that perspective, I can confirm that basically despite the economic impact, relatively compared to the surrounding countries, to our competition, we are in a relative better shape. And this is very good news. Now, no doubt that the societal impact is very severe. We all know that it's for any type of age not easy, especially for our young generation that misses a lot of their ordinary education. And we all hope with the measures that our Federal Council and the cantons takes, that these impacts on our young generation is very, very small, but it will be long-term an impact on the skills, on the education, and that's critical for our economy. Now, a third point, crisis management under Swiss federalism. I think this COVID pandemic was one of the biggest stress tests for our democratic system and our federalistic system. We were one of the few countries in the beginning of the outbreak who had a pandemic law, and our government could act quickly. They could call out the extraordinary state. They could centrally manage. And I believe, my personal opinion, we did well as Switzerland in the first wave. We all know what happened in the second wave. The federalism took over. And I think, from my point of view, and that's also when we read foreign press looking at Switzerland, I think our system of federalism may be very good for ordinary situations. It may be not the best system to act fast on the crisis. I think that's where we have to learn. Now, here the question is, does that have an impact on our attractiveness? I think not, gladly, because the result is important. And the result, as I showed in the first point, economics, the result is that we are still operating, we are still working well, and people respect our democratic processes. The last point, this is a little criticism, obviously. Global innovation leadership versus state of digitalization. We Swiss are very proud, as I stated in the beginning, that we are one of the leading countries worldwide on innovation. But we all know that we're sometimes a bit conservative in adoption of our own technologies. And just one example, e-government. Me as a member of the Swiss authorities and Zug authorities was very much ashamed to see what happened when thousands, 10,000s of companies had to apply for short labor, and they had to get physical forms that were printed here in our authorities, sent to the companies, filled them out manually, sent them back to us. They were scanned in the unemployment office and so on. I mean, this is not a very good sign for Switzerland adopting technology. And I think you all have other examples yourself, where we, as Switzerland, we should use this situation, this COVID crisis, as really learning to adopt much faster. And I'm happy to see on the agenda, Tino, that lots of the speakers, focus exactly on that topic. How can we best use our own technology to really optimize our way of living and working? Now, what does that mean for the attractiveness under COVID? I deliberately did not write after COVID, because none of us can say if ever a virus situation will be over. We all know we may have to get used to a situation long term. Now, this is the same chart I showed in the beginning. If somebody tried to notice a difference, I have not changed the word. And my conclusion is really, I think that all this crisis has relatively even increased our competitiveness, because the values and the long-term advantages we have built up have even become more relevant under such virus situations. The stability, the focus on innovation, always wanting to be the best, low debt in percent of GDP. Switzerland will also, including all these financial measures taken, we will continue to have one of the lowest, if not the lowest, percentage debt of GDP. What does that mean? That means we can afford to invest, we can afford to keep taxes low, and that's essentially a very good message. Or as our Minister of Economic Affairs, Sylvia Thalmann-Guth of Kanton Zug, stated recently in the press, looking out ahead, she also says, we believe our location attractiveness will continue. We will get over it, we will get used, we will adapt. And from that point of view, I'm very confident that we will continue to do well, to do great. And I'm proud and happy to be part of Switzerland's investment promotion functions, of the economic promotion in Kanton Zug specifically. And I think also our Canton of Zug has done a great job in providing companies all the means to go through this crisis. Just 2-3 numbers. In our canton, we have about 16,000 operating companies. Of these 34,000, with about more than 3-4 jobs. Now 4,000 companies, so almost 25%, around 25% of all companies have used credits provided by Kanton Zug and by Federal. So it's something that the companies needed, and they were happy that Kanton Zug even provided more financial tools like this hardship program, like special program for startups, etc. And I sincerely thank also our government for that great support. And I look forward to continue our great collaboration. I'm happy to meet one or the other on the call here personally, whenever it allows. And I wish you, Tino, and everybody a great further 2 days with many interesting speakers. Thank you so much. And I would say, don't forget to go out, take fresh air. It's always important to balance your resources. And, in Zug, we're looking forward soon to see again the cherry trees blooming and to harvest the cherries. And, once in a while, drink a glass of Kirsch and celebrate, our great way of life in Switzerland. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Bert, for this impressed speech and with a lot of factors of impact on information, what's happened in Zug and in Switzerland. Thank you that you are a part of this Crypto Valley Festival 2021. And now allow me to switch in German again. Ich bin sehr dankbar dafür, dass du mich so herzlich oder beziehungsweise das Kanton Zug über deine Person, deine Persönlichkeit mich so herzlich aufgenommen habt vor 14 Monaten und ich wirklich der begeistert bin, diese Zusammenarbeit, diese kurzen Wege, die Türen, die geöffnet werden, auch über dich, weil ich weiß nicht, wie du es machst. Ich glaube, du arbeitest 48 Stunden am Tag. Und wenn das nicht reicht, nimmst du noch die Nacht dazu. Das ist unglaublich, was du für eine Leistung bringst. Du bist ja sozusagen Großunternehmer mit über 16.000 niedergelassenen Firmen. Also herzlichen Dank für all das, was du tust, für nicht nur für meine Firmen, sondern auch für alle anderen im Namen dieser Unternehmer. Ein ganz großes Dankeschön an dich, Bert. Bert, alles Gute und ich hoffe, wir sehen uns bald wieder im nächsten Event.
Danke, vielen Dank.
Gerne, einen schönen Tag noch. Achso, noch eines, jetzt kommt noch eine Q&A rein, entschuldige. Mal gucken, ob das noch für uns ist. Das ist leider ein anonymer Zuschauer, aber er bestätigt das, was ich sage. Ja. I can only confirm, thank you, Bert. Also das war leider keine Frage.
Herzlichen Dank.
Da kommt noch eine.
Vielen Dank.
Also an alle, die antworten, and everyone who wants to send a question, a Q&A, please send or give us the button down in the downline, we find that, and give us please some informations. Moment, was haben wir noch? Offene Fragen, hier haben wir noch eine, nein, das ist das Gleiche. Das ist noch eine.
Da kommt rein, ja.
Genau. Du siehst sie auch, Bert, du kannst sie auch gerne selbst vorlesen.
Ja, genau. Ja, das steht, I very much like the way Zug is set. I've relocated 2 companies to Zug, trying to get the third life science company here. However, each time there's a great amount of work spent on migration, third state citizens, especially US, yeah. How is Zug and Fund approaching to make it easy for the top talent? Yeah, this is a very good question. It addresses the need for non-EU, visa work permits. And just for everybody to clarify, this is a Swiss-wide law and contract that is basically based on the EU bilateral contract with Switzerland, where we commit ourselves to obviously prefer. We have this free trade of people with the EU and this free movement of specialists and of people. So it basically forces us to, minimize, keep the inflow from non-EU countries to a certain level. And we have a total amount of 8,500 primary permits per year in all Switzerland. So this is not including family, etc. And obviously this process, is bound to certain criteria. So we obviously have every year more requests, of non-EU people wanting to work here and bring companies here. And this kind of level is fixed. And, the measures are like, what is the economic value add of a business case when a company comes here? The person has to be a highly qualified specialist. So you cannot bring in here, any type of job. And we know that this limitation is an issue, but, it's just a trade-off that Switzerland had to do, because we all have to see that, for Switzerland, the EU is the biggest trading partner. We have almost 2/3 of our economy is with the EU. So, this is kind of always the trick, how to balance. And I can only say that in the Kanton of Zug, when you go out and ask companies, they would mostly say that they do not have difficulties bringing in here non-EU people, but it's a case by case, looking at the business case. And I can only say, come to us, come to me. We are involved in that process. We will support you for this application, for clarifying, for finding ways. And that's also part of our service. So whoever wrote the question, approach me, come to me. I can see what we can do.
Thank you very much, Bert.
So there was a second question. No. Okay, so I think time is up.
Yes.
I will give the floor for the next speaker. And thank you so much again, everybody who listened, and Tino for the opportunity.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
thank you. You are very welcome every time again.